Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel, thank you. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Perfect World based on novel. So let's start. Immortal Tomb. Did we reach the immortal tomb? Up ahead was a hazy expanse. Holy splendor flickered about and lightning radiance surged. There were layers of mists as well, making this place hazy and mysterious. Several li out, there was an ancient tomb that was several dozen jong tall resting there. The heavenly river poured inside and disappeared without a trace. Of course, this scene was quite indistinct and it was hard to see everything clearly. It was because the curse symbols, holy splendor and lightning interweaved together, blocking his sight. However, he was sure that they arrived at their destination. Next to Shahao's side was a Taotie. It was extremely large and covered in purple scales that flickered with radiance. It was full of a bloody energy. The horn on its head was a bit like a dragon horn, but also like forked goat horns. It looked like it had seen a ghost. It couldn't believe that it could truly see the immortal tomb. The Taotie shivered inwardly. It faced so many difficulties when traveling with its clansmen, and even brought the evil warding divine bamboo, but they couldn't even reach this place. This youth never revealed any divine treasures. So why could he resist the curse and come here? It's speculated that Shahao definitely had some holy evil warding object, or else he wouldn't be able to resist the curse. In addition, it was because of this divine object that he was able to gradually refine away the curse from its body. When it thought of this point, it felt a wave of fury. It was because the reason the other party did this was all for the sake of eating him. The Taotie felt like it was going mad. This was truly a type of humiliation. The most powerful aspect of its race was that it could devour all living things. Once it cultivated to the peak, it could even devour the natural laws of heaven and earth. The Taotie was one of the higher realm's most powerful races. Its power was unmatched. This race made all other undying inheritances incomparably fearful, not willing to provoke them. In addition, their clan's archaic old ancestor was still alive. His power could shake all 3,000 provinces. Shahao noticed the changes that were happening to it. He stopped and gave it a glace. He had to make some preparations as well. The curse here was more and more powerful, so he needed to adjust himself to his optimal state. The Taotie also adjusted itself. It knew that the other party wouldn't let it go, but it still didn't want to yield. It had left its name behind on the demonic sovereign's monument, and his ranking wasn't that low. Perhaps, if it knew that Shahao occupied the number 1 ranking for strength, it wouldn't think like this. Who? The Taotie acted, rushing to attack. It was because it felt that Shahao wouldn't bring it into the immortal tomb, and would get rid of it here. Endless blood energy surged, pouring outwards like a sea. The Taotie was truly strong. With a swipe from this young pure-blooded creature's claws, even the void became a bit dim. Shahao raised his hand, using his palm to directly face it head-on. The Taotie couldn't help but cry out loudly. That claw unexpectedly began to flow out blood. So powerful. The Taotie immediately felt fear inside. Their race's flesh was sturdy to the point where ordinary races couldn't compare to them. However, this was a human, yet he was so powerful. It opened its enormous bloody mouth to devour all living things. A black hole appeared in the void, surrounding Shahao's true body. Human, you can go die. The Taotie staked it all, using its clan's great divine ability, frantically igniting its essence blood. The black hole immediately surged with divine radiance, constructing natural laws to refine Shahao. Shahao took a step. Lightning radiance appeared all around him. A fist blasted outwards, striking through the black hole. He walked out, the Taotie coughed out blood and staggered backwards. It revealed a look of disbelief. Was its precious technique really destroyed so easily, just like that? I can't accept this. These 2 days were a torment for it, as well as humiliation. It was because the other party helped it refine the curse, but didn't even seal it. This was clearly because he didn't fear it trying to flee or retaliate. Its eyes revealed a vicious glare. It was known as the descendant of a heavenly ranked archaic vicious beast. So how could it become food of another creature's, unleashing sealed power? The Taotie roared loudly. Chains appeared one after another around its body. Those were formed from symbols, appearing like divine chains, binding its skeleton and flesh. In that instant, these chains all collapsed. A wave of symbol light rushed into the heavens. In that instant, the Taotie spat out a mouthful of essence blood, suffering severe injuries. However, its power increased greatly, becoming quite a bit stronger than before. Its race had a secret technique that constructed symbols and saved divine force, suppressing oneself. When they released it all at the critical moment to attack a higher cultivation realm, they could immediately succeed. Shahao was shocked and said, "I underestimated you. Only like this will you not leave me disappointed. I suppressed myself to light a divine flame, but now, my own Tao foundation was destroyed. You have to pay the price." The Taotie roared. Its blood energy surged as it threw itself over viciously. Its entire body was covered in beautiful symbols. With a raise of his hands or raise of his feet, the void would tremble and rumble with noise. This powerful. Shahao was shocked. Right now, he felt that this was worthy of being a legendary Taotie. However, when these words rang through the Taotie's ears, it was like a type of mockery. It released a low roar and said, "As the Taotie clan's young supreme being disciple, no one has ever dared to look down on me like this before." All of its body's pores opened, flowing out blood. It ignited itself, completely going crazy to fight Shahao to the death. Shahao was moved. The Taotie clan had a young supreme being that was rumored to sweep through 100 races, without encountering any that could match it. He had heard of it before, but since they already became enemies, he couldn't let the enemy before him go anymore. "Let's end this," Shahao said coldly. He didn't want to stall any longer. He had to adjust himself to the optimal state and enter the immortal tomb. This Taotie freed himself from his own shackles, and after unleashing the seal, he truly became several times stronger. After exchanging 150 attacks in a great battle against Shahao, he was ultimately killed by a streak of lightning. It was unwilling. It threw itself forward in an incomparably vicious and sinister manner. However, in the end, its eyes grew dim, and then it collapsed. What a pity. I could not obtain the Taotie race's devouring divine ability. Shahao shook his head. There were restrictions placed on all of these powerful Clan's sea of consciousness. Once outsiders tried to search for it, it would self-destruct. The moment this Taotie died, its true primordial bone shattered as well. Shahao sat there, calmly adjusting his breathing, adjusting every part of his body to the optimal state. Then, he brought out the pill furnace, temporarily transferring the precious medicines into the heaven and earth pouch. He used his precious techniques to gather the water vapor in the air and produce water. After washing the Taotie's flesh, he then placed it into the pill furnace to stew it with his own Tao flame. What a pity it is that I couldn't find my grandfather. Otherwise, we could have eaten a great meal fit for a dragon's son. Shahao said to himself. He had never eaten Taotie flesh before, but from the sparkling meat inside the pill furnace and the brilliant multicolored light, he knew that this was definitely nourishing and holy in nature. This type of heavenly ranked vicious beast was a well-known race among pure-blooded creatures. Their entire bodies were treasures and could be considered great flesh medicine, so fragrant. Several hours later, Shahao began to gorge himself, eating until his mouth was flickering with multicolored light. The meat was extremely tender, and when it entered his mouth, it contained a unique type of fragrance. It tastes too good. It truly is a rare delicacy. Shahao was completely infatuated with this meal. The Taotie flesh was extremely tender and delicious, truly worthy of being called a wonderful meat dish. What a pity it was that there wasn't any wine, or else he would have truly drank a few cups. The pill furnace didn't look large, only fist-sized in height, but it could hold the entire Taotie inside. The inside was roiling with spiritual essence. All of the great medicine's essence was slowly cooked inside. Shahao wolfed down his food. He looked extremely delicate and pretty, but now, he was like a great stomach king. He devoured a small half of the Taotie in one go, making his entire body radiate holy light. In the end, he already couldn't suppress it anymore. Every pore in his body surged with divine force. This was a sign that he reached his limit, but he still didn't show any sign of stopping. It was because it was extremely dangerous ahead. The curse power was exceptionally thick. He was going to make his own divine force surge to its limit, storing the power of the Taotie's flesh. Done. Shahao said to himself, after completely eating half of the Taotie. Shahao walked forward. Divine force roiled, forming a streak of light that wrapped around him, resisting the curse power. The following few li of the road was quite unique. Each time he traveled a set amount of distance, the curse power would increase several times, making one feel suffocated. Even Shahao was struggling. I'm almost there. There was one last li left, but the curse power rose rapidly, pouring down like a great rain, drowning him within. The source of the curse was that ancient tomb. That was why the closer he got, the harder it was to endure. It was proportionate to one's cultivation, so the higher one's cultivation realm was, the greater the pressure they felt. The divine striking stone and emperor butterfly were put inside the heaven and earth pouch, and then into his heavenly passage. He now faced everything alone to close in on that great tomb. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, Shahao's body was covered in sweat. The bones in his body were cracking with sounds, as if his body was being crushed up. He ate half of the Taotie, so he was full of divine force, but he still felt exhausted. The final li took him 3 entire days and nights. During this period of time, he had to sit down several times and remove the curse with difficulty. During this period of time, there was still streak after streak of electricity hacking downwards. It was extremely terrifying, landing on his body from time to time. Blood splashed out from his shoulders, even injuring his body. This place was seething with spiritual essence. Lightning interweaved, and curse power covered this place densely. The electricity carried a trace of immortal Tao aura. He was only lacking the final few dozen steps, but Shahao couldn't hold on any longer. The pressure was just too great, and the curse couldn't be removed. His flesh showed signs of collapsing, and his mind was completely exhausted. This is a type of cultivation, Shahao said to himself, entering a state of meditation. He sat down to resist these powers, treating this as a life and death self-improvement. His mental state changed, making him clear-headed and calm. He treated this like a type of refinement, carrying out a transcendence of the self and understanding the power of the lightning in the void. One step after another. The final several dozen steps took Shahao another 3 days. He finally reached the great tomb. It was created from piles of yellow earth, existing here for endless years already. The great river was overflowing, directly pouring into the tomb. This place had endless symbols flickering about and a terrifying great Tao aura. The dried-up tomb was a type of great Tao. This was what Shahao felt. When he arrived, this was the thought he came to. Perhaps the true great natural opportunity was this grave. In this place, the entire ancient tomb had a type of natural law that would release symbols from time to time. In addition, it would erupt with lightning radiance that rushed into the 9th heaven. Was there truly an immortal that died here, buried in this tomb? Shahao asked himself. His head was covered in sweat. He sat there with difficulty, enduring the tremendous pressure. He took out the jewel pupil to see through the mist and lightning radiance, peering into everything in the immortal tomb. That is, his eyes widened, observing everything below with shock. That place was covered in an expanse of scarlet redness. There was brightly colored blood that carried an undying aura. It surged with a vitality that was red and translucent, sparkling like that of gemstones. Is this the immortal's blood, or the demonic sovereign's blood? Shahao's voice was trembling. He felt a bit moved, clenching his fists tightly. However, he knew that he definitely couldn't obtain it. The ancient tomb was a type of great Tao. It might represent the immortal Tao, but it might also contain the demonic sovereign's supreme Tao natural laws. He definitely couldn't enter it just by himself. Half a month later, Shahao was pleasantly surprised to find that he finally sensed it. This place contained a great amount of lightning force, and he could capture a bit of their trajectory. Immortal Tao aura. Shahao studied this aura, closing his eyes and sensing these broken symbols. Then, he saw strange scenes one after another. Those were the transformations of lightning, profound and mysterious. Lightning, it has life, turning into plants that contain thriving vitality. Shahao said softly. This was what he comprehended. Lightning did not only contain destructive power, but it also embodied life. He seized this insight. Then, he looked at the earth formed from lightning. There were earth and rocks resting one after another, thick and majestic. Then, he saw a river. Lightning turned into liquid, becoming water that flowed between heaven and earth. A metallic sound rang through the air. All types of lightning congealed into various types of metal weapons, turning into spears, halberds, and others. Their power was heaven overflowing. Lightning could also become metal and possess great sharpness. On the immortal tomb, symbols continuously changed, revealing all types of profound mysteries. Shahao immersed himself within this, completely throwing himself in. This was clearly lightning, but Shahao saw the most original elements of this world: wood, earth, water, metal, fire. Finally, several streaks of lightning with different characteristics collided. Strands of chaotic energy actually seeped out. This electricity was terrifying to the extreme and suffused with immortal Tao aura. Shahao comprehended for an extremely long time. The lightning Tao precious technique became much more powerful. Unknowingly, a month had already passed. Just this single period of comprehension took up an entire month. If news of this got out, it would definitely leave others stupefied. All Tao comprehension states were hard to continue. They should be short moments of insight. I've seen the way. I know how I should cultivate the lightning Tao. Shahao said softly. This month of Tao comprehension allowed him to see the most foundational changes of the lightning Tao, but also the most valuable changes. Soon after, Shahao's body surged with flames that carried a destructive aura, blazing furiously. I already grasped one type of foundational transformation of the lightning Tao flames. Along with destruction comes flourishing vitality, as well as light. This was precisely the case. His body looked like it was seething with fiery light, but it was lightning. This was electricity, but it was pulsing like a flame, burning with great power. The current lightning Tao he grasped was without a doubt much more powerful than that of the past. He was becoming more intimate with lightning. The electricity turned into flames, wrapping him within. Shahao got up. After grasping this foundational and profound transformation of the lightning Tao, he seemed to form some kind of connection with the immortal Tao lightning here. The curse's effect on him became much weaker as well. These plants took root in the immortal tomb, some fresh and green, others flickering with silver light, surging with purple energy like clouds, or resplendent golden. Their colors shone brilliant as lightning interwove. Shahao's breathing was rushed. These plants were all too precious. Every single stalk had different patterns engraved on them. They contained the power of lightning, as well as a trace of immortal Tao energy. Lightning radiance flickered about. For those that cultivated lightning precious techniques, they were priceless treasures. 1 stalk, 2 stalks, Shahao's eyes stared blankly. This large expanse contained over 100 plants. With so many medicinal herbs, it was several times more precious than even the medicinal field of a heavenly deity. Unfortunately, he couldn't pluck any of them, because these plants grew on the immortal tomb, a place he couldn't walk on at all. Shahao found it difficult to calm down. The stalk of strange golden grass he dug up before allowed him to quickly cultivate the thunderfall sparrow's precious technique, possessing divine efficacy. Now, more than 100 similar plants stretched out before him. This was even more of a fantasy than a legend. If he could pick them, he would definitely be able to push his lightning Tao technique towards the peak, worthy of being the immortal tomb. This tomb had existed for endless years already. It was covered in immortal Tao lightning energy. After the endless passage of time, there were actually plants that grew here one after another. Of course, if there was an existence buried under the great tomb, then the value would be even greater. Could it be that there truly is an undying existence buried inside this tomb, that immortal? Shahao said to himself. After seeing this expanse of rarely seen grass that all grew on top of the tomb, with every stalk being so precious, Shahao was unwilling to pass up this chance just like that. He truly wished to pluck a few, but how was he supposed to get close, stake it all? There were a few stalks that weren't that far from the grave and not on the tall slope either. He focused his attention there and decided to take some risks. As soon as he got closer, an electrical arc shone, blasting Shahao tumbling backwards, lacerating his flesh and charring his body black. Blood poured outwards. This was precisely the power of the immortal tomb. Any streak of light it released was destructive. Even though Shahao's physical body had been trained through hard work, and was as tough as diamond, it still couldn't hold on. His current body was already far more durable than heavenly ranked vicious beasts, but under the immortal Tao aura, he was still wounded. However, he didn't feel discouraged. He comprehended the lightning Tao natural laws to make himself as clear-headed as possible, merging with the lightning symbols to become a part of them. Being able to stay in front of this great tomb for a long time and comprehend the natural laws was already quite difficult. If he wanted to scale the tomb, the difficulty was definitely extremely high. He tried several times, but in the end, he was always seriously wounded. Again, Shahao's viciousness appeared, not willing to give up, continuing on despite repeated setbacks. This is for refining the body and accept the lightning Tao's baptism. Shahao said to himself, enduring the great pain. He used up a day and night's time to take just a single step into the great tomb. He sat down there, consolidating his strength without cowering back. Not long after, a streak of purple energy drifted over, and then it erupted. This was lightning mist. It turned into a sphere of light and wrapped itself around him, making this place erupt with power. Shahao's hair all stood on end. His body was scorched black, and his flesh was dried up. A layer of dry skin cracked apart. His current situation wasn't good, appearing extremely dangerous, allowing lightning into the body. He was currently enduring a baptism, and doing everything he could to merge this lightning into his body. He was trying to harmonize with the aura to prevent more injuries. After using up 2 more days and nights worth of time, he finally stabilized. He sat at the base of the grave. The wounds covering his body closed. Black and gray old skin separated, revealing fair and glossy skin again. During this process, he also had to defend himself against the curse. Fortunately, after studying the lightning Tao profound mysteries, the power of the curse weakened by quite a bit. On the 9th day, Shahao arrived in front of a small scarlet tree. He felt like crying. This had truly been a difficult process. Stupid grave. He was furious. During these few days, his hair stood on end, and when he breathed, his nose and mouth spray out electrical radiance. His entire body was almost blasted into coal. He was finally about to succeed. This entirely red little tree was enough to make up for the losses. Even though it's only a foot tall, it's covered in patterns, and had scarlet electricity coiling about it that released waves of cries. This could, without a doubt, aid Shahao in his lightning precious technique cultivation. Just like how he was able to smoothly break through after studying the Thunder Sky Sparrow's divine ability, he could use this to grasp even more lightning profound mysteries. Shahao carefully dug it out. During this process, his entire body was cracking apart from the lightning, and his pores were also gushing out electricity. I finally obtained one. He was satisfied. After cultivating for 2 hours, he targeted another stalk. It was suffused with purple energy and appeared rather hazy. It was 6 or 7 steps away from him. A golden mushroom. The next target was a human head-sized golden mushroom. Lightning radiance crackled about with pa-li-pa-la sounds. He used 2 days and nights before successfully harvesting it. Then, Shahao walked towards a green jade bamboo. It was only the thickness of a chopstick. It was 2 feet tall and dark green in color. There was green radiance around it. Just like that, Shahao continuously dug out 5 of them. Every single stalk contained rich lightning, and had mysterious patterns engraved on them and a strand of immortal Tao lightning aura. When he wanted to dig more out, there were already no more near him. He raised his head, discovering that the closest one was 20-something zhong away. They were all on the back of this great grave. For him, this was an astronomical distance. It was because he had to pay a huge price for every few steps he took on this grave. In addition, when he carefully observed that area, he discovered with shock that on the back of the great tomb, apart from lightning radiance, there were also strands of chaotic energy that seeped out from the earth. This was definitely not something he could get close to. If he truly touched it, he would definitely be blasted into ashes. The true immortal Tao lightning is buried in the tomb. Shahao knew that he could only go this far. He couldn't continue. He backed out from the immortal tomb step after step, feeling a sense of relief. When he got back down, the load on his body became much lighter. He had experienced too much pressure during these past few days. The divine striking stone was startled, looking stupefied as he watched him. Its mouth widened, but it really didn't know what to say. This really was a bit like angering man and God alike. He didn't even let the tomb's earth go. You really are a freak. Aren't you scared of offending the deceased? The divine striking stone said, "What do you understand? This earth contains lightning, so it is definitely a priceless precious material. It is a great killing weapon too." Shahao said. Unfortunately, the magical artifact shattered, blasted to pieces by the tomb's lightning on the spot. Shahao blinked his eyes. He wanted to bring it, but there was no way. The power inside the earth was too great. What do I do? He watched helplessly, feeling there was no way. What else is there to do? Hurry up and get out of here. You really are going too far, not even letting the tomb's earth go. The divine striking stone curled its lips. Shahao scratched his head helplessly. He knew how unordinary this tomb's earth was and wanted to bring some away. So in the end, he flung the divine striking stone out from within his heavenly passage and said, "Don't you love to eat earth and stone? Hurry up and devour several tens of thousands of jinn of it." Motherfucker, the divine striking stone began to curse outwards. It loved to eat, but it didn't want to eat from an ancient tomb. This didn't agree with its stomach at all. What is wrong with you? Every mouthful you eat will make you another portion stronger. Are you truly going to pass up such a great opportunity, when it is right in front of you? Shahao urged. I won't eat it even if you beat me to death. I am a rock with principles. The divine striking stone was quite unyielding. I am going to die from pain. This was a difficult battle. With Shahao's help, the divine striking stone resisted the curse and refined the lightning, devouring the earth. This is no good. I want to collect a bit of the earth and use it for battle, Shahao said to himself. In the end, he clenched his teeth and took out that pill furnace. He tossed the Taotie flesh into the heaven and earth pouch and said, "Let's use this to collect the tomb's earth first. I'll properly clean it later." Shahao began to use the mysterious pill furnace to collect the immortal tomb's earth. This was a huge risk. Every time he collected even a bit, it would place him within an inch of his life. He used up half a month to collect it bit by bit. Eventually, he was finally satisfied, bringing half a cauldron of earth with him as he left. Youngster, you really are vicious, not even letting the tomb's earth go. You really are a freak. The divine striking stone mumbled noisily. After walking a period of time, Shahao stopped again and stared at that sparkling heavenly river continuously. What do you think about the river water? The divine striking stone went stupid. He stared with a dumbstruck expression. Only after a long time had passed did he said, "Don't tell me that you want to take a bit of this river water too." The divine striking stone was stunned. He felt that this youngster was truly incurable. If news of this ever gets out, I don't know you, okay? This is too shameful. This was, without a doubt, a type of torment. Collecting the heavenly river's water was definitely an extremely dangerous task. Shahao was blasted until his flesh cracked apart. Miserable shrieks rang out unendingly. Dumbass, you brought all of this onto yourself. The divine striking stone took joy in Shahao's disaster. After using up several days, Shahao would only obtain a small amount of water, but he would still be blasted until he hovered between life and death. He continuously stomped in anger and cursed endlessly, feeling extremely unsatisfied. However, in the end, he still succeeded, leaving with large amounts of water from the river and a body full of wounds. Shameful guy, too lacking in integrity. Along the way, the divine striking stone muttered endlessly. Soon after, he returned to those ruins and saw the 3,000 jong tall brilliant monument. Even though a long time had passed, there were still many people here. In addition, there were experts who came here to look at it. Li Yunsong heard everyone's discussions and felt quite shocked. He said to himself, someone ended up changing the power rankings. He walked up and raised his head, and then he immediately became petrified. He saw the seated figure carved at the very top of the divine monument. Even though the Huang character was a bit hard to make out, it was still quite eye-catching. Brother Huang. Huang. He immediately understood that it was the youth he met who established this impressive feat. This left him greatly shocked. He already knew that youth was extremely unordinary, but he never expected him to be this terrifying, sitting above Qin Changxing's head. The so-called power ranking considered one's age, cultivation realm, and various other factors. It represented a ranking of individuals when under similar conditions. Li Yunsong knew that a formidable young supreme being had risen up, and was about to leave the higher realms shaken. Meanwhile, he had the fortune of swapping pointers with him, even exchanging lightning precious techniques. This youth was like a great resplendent star that would gradually rise and overlook all 3,000 provinces. Wu. A few suspicious individuals came to Fiend Island. They most likely came for Huang. 3 months have passed already, yet no traces of him have been found. Where did he go? Could it be that he reached the end of the Heavenly River? It's best if he doesn't appear, or else he might be in great danger. Everyone discussed this. They came from different sects. During the most recent period of time, Immortal Mountain's experts all hurried over. They searched around nearby to see what kind of person this Huang was exactly. Apart from this, there were people from other great sects who rushed over. With the appearance of such a mysterious individual, who could overlook 10 provinces, a great sensation was unavoidable. A few undying inheritances wanted to rope him in. How are you still alive? One could imagine how miserable the elder felt back then. He suffered a disaster at Immortal Mountain. If he obtained news of the lower realms matters after that, his heart would definitely be in great pain. Grandfather, where are you? I have to find you. He didn't want his grandfather to feel grief and wished to let Grandpa 15 know that he was still alive, that he could even fight against exceptional talents, and that he was going to rise up in the higher realms. Shahao's eyes were cloudy with mist. He stood here for a long time. After thinking for a while, he decided to set this place as the center and search everywhere around it. Grandpa 15 definitely didn't reach the end of the immortal tomb, because Shahao already reached the end, yet didn't find anyone. There weren't any traces of anyone else. Grandfather definitely didn't turn around out of fear of being caught by Black Prison's people. Either in that case, it was most likely that Grandpa 15 followed the Heavenly River for a while, and then after feeling that the curse power was too great, decided to leave, thus breaking out. When he thought of this, his mind jumped. There were many powerful creatures, when one stayed far from the Heavenly River. They all understood lightning techniques, with no lack of experts, who lit their divine flames among them. They were extremely dangerous. Grandpa, we will definitely reunite. Shahao left the riverside and descended from high up in the sky, flying into Fiend Island's great earth. This was because the Heavenly River flowed in the sky. He called out the divine striking stone and Emperor Butterfly to have them help him search for clues. Fiend Island originally suspended itself in mid-air. There were all types of electrical mists everywhere, and it was incredibly dusky. It was vast and boundless as well, so searching for a single person would undoubtedly be difficult, as well as dangerous. Not far out, a pair of golden eyes lit up. Then, a loud cry sounded. A dazzling and brilliant streak of electricity flew over. This was a strange snake that was entirely golden in color. It was 100 jong in length with black horns on its head. On its back was a pair of transparent wings. This creature, that had reached the supreme expert realm, hiddenly attacked Shahao. Shahao didn't recognize what kind of snake this was, only knowing that it was extremely poisonous, and that its lightning precious technique was unordinary. He continued along his way, but in the end, before traveling very far, he met a few other strange golden snakes. None of them were weak. One of them, after being killed, left behind a sparkling golden stone in its original spot. The inside contained electricity and flickering symbols. This was an extremely precious material. On this Fiend Island, there was a small portion of creatures whose bodies contained this type of crystal. They were precious materials for refining weapons, so in the outside world, they were extremely precious. When the 8th strange golden snake was killed, Shahao felt as if something wasn't right. 2 suns suddenly erupted with brilliance in front of him, appearing exceptionally dazzling in the void. Heavens! Shahao's fine hairs all stood on end. A fluctuation of life suddenly erupted from the mountain range. That was actually an enormous snake that was hiding here, and right now, it revived and stared at him. In the end, when it approached the Heavenly River, it hesitated after feeling the curse power, and could only helplessly retreat. After experiencing this disaster, Shahao became much more careful. That strange snake, just now, was formidable, almost crossing into the true deity boundary. It was extremely terrifying. Grandpa, you have to be okay, he went on his way again. After encountering such a dangerous situation in Fiend Island, he became extremely worried. Several days later, Shahao entered another region. He found a silver sky centipede that was 100 jong long. It stretched out on the ground, devouring lightning mist and spreading its poison outwards. Its divine flame burned about it in an abnormally terrifying manner. This place wasn't called the dangerous region for nothing. He met another divine-level ancient bug. Shahao made a detour around it, not startling this divine bug that was currently cultivating. The more he explored this dangerous area, the more terrified he felt. These creatures were not few. They devoured lightning radiance and absorbed electromagnetic mists as they rested here. There was nothing he could do about them. Shahao continuously searched, crossing over many mountain ranges. He encountered great dangers several times. Even though there were no trees and it was all mountain rocks, they similarly hid enormous beasts and ferocious birds. Shahao sucked in a cold breath of air. The butterflies that looked weak, when grouped together, were actually so powerful. There are so many butterflies. If I could command them all, then it would be so great. I would have them all help me look for grandfather, Shahao said softly. Suddenly, from his hair, the emperor butterfly shone, unfolding its body. It nodded towards him and then flew towards the group of silver butterflies. Careful. Shahao became astonished. He never expected the silver butterfly would act out on its own like that. However, the results were completely unexpected. As soon as the emperor butterfly got closer, countless silver butterflies dropped to the ground, unexpectedly trembling in fear in its presence. Shahao was stunned. The emperor butterfly was still a larva that hadn't grown up yet at all, yet it already had such great might. No wonder there was that legend that said that an emperor butterfly appeared in the archaic era. With a light shake of its wings, the most powerful heavenly ranked creatures of the world were blasted to pieces, turned into ashes. This race's power is too great. In the end, all of the silver butterflies flew up, rushing in all directions in search of clues. Soon after, Shahao encountered another race golden beetles. This was also a group of creatures that numbered in the thousands to tens of thousands and huddled together like golden kernels. They covered the sky. In the end, the emperor butterfly flapped its wings. With its appearance, these creatures all expressed their allegiance as well. Forget about Shahao, even the divine striking stone was shocked, feeling that this was a bit inconceivable. The emperor butterfly was actually this formidable. The silver butterfly guided the way. It also told them that it saw him a bit over half a month ago. Shahao was both startled, happy, and worried. His grandfather was still on Fiend Island after all. He followed the silver butterfly for a long distance and finally reached their destination. Grandfather, please tell me you took care of yourself. I am coming. Soon after, several golden bugs flew over, transmitting with their divine senses that they saw Grandpa 15 just ahead. There were also other people tracking his traces. Soon after, he received bad news. The group of people that had good intentions were not able to find Grandpa 15 and already left. Use every means possible. Have to find him as soon as possible. Shahao's voice was shaking. He began to panic, feeling fear that something bad happened to his grandfather. This was a great pursuit. It had to be said that the emperor butterfly was extremely useful this time, having a group of creatures without deities overseeing them, obeying its command and aiding in the search. Found him, we are getting close. 4 days later, Shahao's chest rose and fell violently. There was a group of earth silkworms, who resided in this mountain range, who had clues to Grandpa 15's whereabouts. These earth silkworms could move through earth, and they also grasped lightning. A day ago, they had seen several men and women pursuing an elder. Shahao clenched his fists. His eyes stood vertically. He felt both agitation and anger. His body couldn't help but begin to shake. Several hours later, Shahao noticed signs of a middle-aged man and woman. Their speed was neither fast nor slow, and they were following traces left behind by others, also searching for something. Shahao operated the divine force recorded in the 10,000 spirit diagram, placing his body in a near non-existent state. He was silent like a ghost as he chased after them. He was extremely nervous inside, fearing that something unexpected could happen. Finally, he reached the destination. Up ahead was a wide open space, but symbols would surge from time to time. Someone laid down a great formation, sealing this place up. There were 6 experts there, both men and women among them, surrounding a single-armed elder inside. Together with the man and woman who just arrived, there were 8 people. There were unexpectedly existences that ignited divine flames among them. Divine flame blazed about, appearing extremely terrifying. I want to know, why are you trying to kill me? The single-armed elder said. He was weather-beaten and worn out. His face revealed an expression of great changes. His body was covered in bloodstains as well. It is because you have a good grandson, who has 2 immortal bones, and someone does not wish you approve of your connection with him. They do not wish for you to use your strange ideology and way of conduct to discipline him, one of them said. My grandson, the single-armed elder's voice trembled. He raised his head towards the sky, his pair of tiger-like eyes containing tears. With a bit of sorrow, he said, I still have another grandson. Another grandson, you are talking about the lower realm, right? He's already dead, buried a year ago. Another individual said coldly, expressionless and callous. Qin Hao has immortal mountain. He does not need me to worry about him. The single-armed elder felt a bit disappointed. He was originally a man of steel, but right now, he was powerless. Carrying grief, he said, my grandson, how could you die? Shahao came. When he saw this elder so broken-hearted and grieved, his aged face full of hardships, his eyes couldn't help but turn red. Hot tears rolled down his face. Grandpa, I am still alive. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.